two offensive juggernauts lock horns, certain truths persist. Beyond the mere contest of who could deliver the hardest blow, the essence lies in the art of disruption. It becomes a matter of who can unravel their opponent's offensive maneuvers through dynamic defense, thereby allowing their own offensive abilities to emerge and illuminate the conflict. The dance between attack and counterbalance reveals the deeper layers of competition, where victory is not just about power, but about the subtle mastery of balance and adaptation. To craft an effective offensive strategy, one must first comprehend the defensive capabilities of the opponent. Morrell is more skilled in offense, showcasing a wider array of punches compared to his defensive techniques. His primary defensive tactic involves utilizing a high guard, though it tends to be more static than dynamic. Understanding this aspect of his defense can provide valuable insights for deploying a strategy that capitalizes on his defensive limitations while navigating his offensive strengths. His high guard was static, rigid, and stationary, with his hands seemingly fixed in place. There was a noticeable lack of layers in his defense, as it lacked movement and active blocking techniques. While the high guard serves as a solid foundational defense, it needs to be complemented with proactive defensive maneuvers to truly be effective. Morrell's high guard had too many gaps, which Benavidez exploited at every opportunity. A tight guard can be deceptive, as it doesn't block every punch aimed to the head. If the guard isn't tight enough in front, straight punches can penetrate. And if it's too tight, there are openings around it. The primary vulnerabilities are to the body, around the guard, and beneath it. With the guard focused on protecting the head, the ribs become exposed. To maintain vision, there must be a slight gap in the guard, leaving an opening for uppercuts. When the guard is static and lacks counters to deter follow-up attacks, Benavidez is able to peel it apart to land his hooks. Since Morrell couldn't establish significant counters, he was caught in a cycle of either attacking or defending, making it easier for Benavidez to anticipate his rhythm. Benavidez would use an initial punch to activate Morrell's guard, then capitalize on the cracks and openings. Despite his height, Benavidez bent at the hips to create different angles for his punches. One technique he used was stepping with his lead foot to take the outside angle, then squaring up to bend. This allowed him to drive his punches from unique angles, allowing more leverage in his punches. Like Morrell, Benavidez also utilized the high guard as his primary defense. However, he was dynamic with this approach, incorporating subtle techniques to add layers to his defensive maneuvers. His arm positioning was responsive to Morrell's punch placements, allowing his guard to block specific punches rather than relying on a static guard and risking which punches might get through. He complemented this with head movement, constantly changing his head position to make himself a less predictable target. Additionally, he incorporated a movement by taking short steps back to ensure Morrell's punches didn't land directly. When he didn't step back, Benavidez would roll with the punches to reduce the impact. It's easy to overlook Benavidez's defense when we're too focused on his offense. However, when the footage is slowed down, his defensive skills become undeniable, as film doesn't lie. This is what makes the Mexican monster well-rounded. He's not only dangerous offensively, but equally solid defensively. With a strong defensive base, Benavidez can walk Morrell down and maintain his position, keeping himself in striking range at all times. His reflexes and deep understanding of how to defend effectively in a pocket make him a complete fighter. This makes it even more challenging for Morrell to fend the monster off while ensuring he can counter effectively. Defense is what transforms the entire dynamic when two offensive juggernauts clash. It's not about who can throw more punches, but rather who can land more effective shots while deflecting the opponent's punches to minimize the offensive impact. When everything comes together, it becomes a battle of action and reaction, driven by muscle memory and reflexes with little time for thought. Benavidez seamlessly transitions between offense and defense during exchanges, blending the rhythm of attack rather than simply attacking or defending. This unpredictability in his point of attack makes him particularly dangerous. It's what makes Benavidez a monster pressure fighter. It's a high-tempo game of tit for tat, testing who can endure more than they could give. In this game, two fighters stand directly across from one another, with the range of every punch the other can throw. Only the truly skilled can deflect and defend while delivering punishment in return.